Okay, perfect. So we've started recording. So again, this will be a 30-minute presentation roughly. We'll have about 20 minutes worth of content in terms of the presentation. I'm also going to do a very short brief demonstration for Pisces, and we'll use any time remaining at the end for a Q&A. So my colleague Jake Burkhardt is here, and he'll be monitoring the chat for any questions and sort of stocking those towards the end of the presentation. Any technical types of questions that I'm unable to respond to, I know that we have, or we should have, a colleague from Link Systems International, which is sort of the parent group for Pisces, and they're also available to respond to any questions.
Hi, Logan. This is Robert Veit. I'm here.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
I
Robert.
am on.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yep.
Yeah, just a little bit of a housekeeping item here. This meeting is being recorded and will be captioned and also made available on the CVC OEI website at some point in the near future. So I did want to just, before we get started with the content, I did want to just take a moment to acknowledge the moment that many of our colleges within the California Community College system find ourselves in, which is that already many of our colleges are being asked to quickly transition instruction and student support services into an online environment. And so what this webinar is designed to do, and the other webinars and offerings that will follow today, are just designed to help facilitate and ease many of those transitions that are going to be occurring in the coming days and weeks. So the CVC OEI is here to help with many of those transitions. And we're prepared to help with many of those transitions. So I just wanted to kind of say that up front. So any questions or comments before we get started into our content? Okay, so I'm just going to jump right in then. Okay, so what is Pisces? What can it do for your colleges? So at its most basic, what Pisces is a web conferencing platform, web video conferencing platform that includes many different academic collaboration types of tools that are embedded within that platform. So there's many different possible applications, including but not limited to online tutoring. So certainly there's the online tutoring element, and that will be the focus of today's talk. But I also want folks on the call to also think about other possible applications for this platform. That might include online advising, supplementing online instruction, online office hours, and that sort of thing. For many of you, and certainly for many of your students, Pisces will be a familiar platform. And the reason for that is because Pisces is actually the platform for which the NetTutor service is provided. And by last count, I think something approaching 100 of our California community colleges are currently using NetTutor. So for many of us and for many of our students, this will be a familiar place. For the uninitiated, Pisces is accessible and available through the Canvas learning management system through a fairly straightforward LTI integration. So Pisces is already sort of integrated into the learning experience. It's also, I wanted to mention this up front, that Pisces is freely available for all of our California community colleges through a statewide license that we've had in place for a number of years So that's kind of the broad overview for the platform. I want to dive into some of the features for the platform itself, and once we get through a couple of these slides, we'll also have a chance to actually look at provide you with a live look for the platform, and just to give you an idea for what the interface looks like and what it can do. So there's 4 primary modes for synchronous delivery on the platform. The first is a one-on-one mode, and what this does is it really facilitates interactions between tutors or instructors and individual students. A similar mode is the online meeting mode, which we'll be taking a closer look at, and what that does is facilitates interactions between, it's a one-to-many type of relationship. So a single tutor or instructor and multiple students. And we also have a study group mode, and this allows for groups of students to sort of create ad hoc study groups. And then there's a 4th mode, which is a very straightforward video conferencing mode without some of the more academic collaboration tool bells and whistles. For those of us that are familiar with Zoom, the platform that we're using now, it looks very similar to Zoom. So those are the 4 primary synchronous delivery modes for Pisces. So I want to introduce a few of the asynchronous delivery modes that Pisces also is prepared to offer. And there's a paper drop-off mode and a question drop-off mode. And so essentially what this allows students to do is to submit a document, a Word document or a PDF, or for that matter, a question for their tutor or for their instructor, and it allows for that asynchronous interaction. So for that tutor then to provide feedback and review for that question or paper, and to actually put into the student's locker, which is additional functionality within Pisces. And so this, the locker really just facilitates for that exchange and for that on-demand review for the papers, the question feedback, and also for the, also provides a place to archive those live tutoring sessions, that synchronous tutoring sessions that may have occurred. So at this point, I want to jump in and just give you, we could spend an hour on demonstrating the platform itself. We don't have that amount of time, but I just want to give you just sort of a quick look into Pisces. So here, this is the Canvas interface. I have Pisces installed in this course, and so I'm going to jump into Pisces from the left-hand navigation from this Canvas course. All right, good. So this is what the basic interface looks like. This is one I set up yesterday. So there are some features that are missing, including a way to schedule a lot of these interactions. But in any event, I'm going to show you just some of the basic functionality. So again, I mentioned some of these synchronous modes previously, and you can see those here. You have again the one-on-one live room, the online meeting room, and so forth. And then down here are those asynchronous functions: paper feedback, question feedback, and then the locker. So we're gonna dive into one of these very briefly, and so I can just kind of show you what the student experience would look like. So I'm going to begin an online meeting. So we will first name the meeting. So this will be an economics session, So the first screen that it'll put you into is like a lobby. And so here, let's pretend I'm the tutor. I can welcome the student to the room. Okay. Okay. So that's just some basic chat functionality. So you'll see here that we can open the whiteboard, which is the function that I really want to show you today, or video chat. So let's launch the whiteboard. So this brings us to the whiteboard platform itself. And you'll see here along the left-hand menu here that there's a number of different ways where we can share ideas for, let's say, a tutoring session. So because this is an econ session, it wouldn't be an econ session without a supply and demand curve. So this, what we can then do, the tutor and the student can sort of interact with this diagram in a number of different ways, including free text. There's even math functionality that's math logarithms that can be included directly on the whiteboard, HTML, different shapes, polls, you get the idea. And so that's sort of a very, very high level for the functionality within the whiteboard itself. And what's really cool about this is that, and we can launch a video if, say, you know, we have this interaction and I want to have sort of more of that face-to-face virtual type of interaction between the tutor and the student. We can launch a video chat directly from here. And we can also, at the conclusion of the session, we can save this work that was committed to the whiteboard to a PDF. And then also, another thing I wanted to show you here is when we end our session, that session is then archived here in that locker that I described earlier. So let me show you how to get there again, actually. I kind of went to that quickly. So if we go down here to the locker and then view our live session history, we will see that tutoring session that we just held is available in a number of different formats. Again, there's a PDF format, and there's also a playback for that entire tutoring session. So there's a lot of different ways that you know, this can be used to, again, to facilitate online tutoring, also student-teacher interactions, et cetera, et cetera. So that is, that's the platform in a nutshell. Any questions before I sort of go on to the next slides? Let's see, I'm kind of monitoring the chat here.
Hey, Logan.
Yes.
This is Autumn. There was one question about, I think it was about being available on a tablet. I'm trying to, is this compatible with a writing tablet from Kim?
Okay, Robert, you want to take that?
Yeah, so you can use different tablet devices, including just like a mobile tablet and also a pen tablet. So if you have like a pen tablet, you can use that to write on the drawing canvas.
And there was one other question from iPad. Is this meeting Canvas training? And it's really not training on Canvas. If you're looking for specific training on Canvas, we have one of those coming up this afternoon, and I will put that information in the chat.
Thanks, Autumn.
You're welcome.
Any other questions before we proceed to the next part of the presentation? Questions about the functionality for Pisces? No? Okay. All right. I am going to move on then to our next slide. So now that we've kind of talked a little bit about some of the functionality and features for the platform itself, I want to talk a little bit about some approaches or strategies for how Pisces might be deployed. And so when I was putting this together yesterday, I thought about the circumstances that many of the colleges might find themselves in, which is again, they might be being asked, or I think in many cases they are being asked to transition what would normally be, under normal circumstances, be on-campus their on-campus tutoring workforce, if you will, onto an online environment. So there's a couple of different approaches, at least a couple of different approaches where this can be done. And we've actually seen these approaches being successfully deployed across many of the California community colleges. So again, this certainly can be done. So one of those approaches is the hybrid approach, and that is a case where so I know that many of the California community colleges, they have sort of two parallel tutoring strategies that are occurring. One in which they have online tutors that are hired through the NetTutor service, and that's their online tutoring presence. And then they also have their on-campus tutors. So what can be done is Pisces can help facilitate, and NetTutor, Link Systems International can help facilitate this transition, is to move those campus tutors onto Pisces, the online tutoring platform. And those two tutoring workforces, if you will, can be sort of combined in such a way that maximizes the coverage for tutoring. And by coverage, what I mean is not just the hours of availability, but also maximizing the coverage by subject area. So that's one approach that we've seen deployed successfully in many of the colleges. Another a circumstance that your college might find themselves in is where you are not currently deploying any online tutoring through NetTutor, and you simply have an existing tutoring workforce that is providing their tutoring on campus. And so what Pisces is really developed to do is we can move those tutors to the Pisces platform and begin to deliver tutoring directly from that platform. So that does take that's easier said than done, perhaps. It's not necessarily an air quotes easy task, but again, it can be done, and that is what Link Systems is here to help facilitate those transitions. I know that we have staff on CVC OEI that is meant to assist in those transitions as well. And so at the end of this presentation, I'm going to provide some contact information and resources to where if you're interested in getting that started, exploring some of those models, we have people on hand to sort of help out with that. Robert, actually, I'll call on you. Is there anything that you might add about that, the hybrid approach and sort of how that might be deployed on a campus?
I think you covered most of it. I mean, we have some schools that will have a single online tutoring link that can be used to access both the NetTutor tutors and your on-campus tutors inside of Pisces. And then there are other schools that will have a separate link for the NetTutor and the Pisces, but can support either approach. And definitely available to help you guys integrate those NetTutor and Pisces experiences. And one other thing, I guess, too, is that if the student is familiar with using NetTutor, the look and the feel of Pisces is going to be really similar to NetTutor. So If the student's comfortable using the NetTutor platform, they're going to be immediately comfortable using the Pisces platform as well.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for mentioning all those things. I really appreciate that. And I did want to just kind of reiterate this point here that you know, we're talking about how Pisces can be used to facilitate online tutoring, but there's other applications for it as well, which is, you know, to again facilitate student instructor types of interactions and also student interactions within the learning management system. So finally, one other thing I want to mention is that Pisces is sort of packaged with this on-demand usage statistic tool, one that I've used extensively in my practice here. But this is really useful because it can help your college identify different usage trends for tutoring, and then, you know, therefore make, you know, sort of adjustments to your tutoring strategy. So that's a really sort of useful perspective and tool for your online tutors. And so with that, I want to sort of conclude with, again, offering our support and encouragement during this time of transition. The CVC OEI is here and is available to help in many different ways. And I know that those resources are continuing to grow by the day in terms of what we're offering to the system. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please email us at support@cvc.edu. And I'm also providing here the link to our preparedness resources page, which again is continuing to grow day by day. So there's also should mention that again, there's a series of webinars that are occurring today and many different resources that are being made available by the CVC OEI, and those can be found on this page. For Pisces, direct Pisces support. And so if your college is interested in getting started with Pisces right away, or determining sort of where your college is currently at with your Pisces installation or integration, if you're interested in pursuing training opportunities for your tutoring workforce and getting them up to speed and ready to deliver online, the regional sales manager for LSI is making himself available for all those types of inquiries. And his name is Chuck Myers, and his contact information can be found here on the screen. So that just about concludes my presentation, and it looks like we have a few minutes available for questions and answers for a Q&A session. So please, by all means, ask away. Any questions? Were there any questions in the chat that I didn't get to? I was having a hard time monitoring the chat.
Yes, I have one question. I would like to have an account. I'm from Berkeley City College, and I would like to have an account of Zoom, and I would like to learn the basics of Zoom.
Okay, you'd like to, okay. So for that inquiry, what I would encourage you to do is to contact our team directly at support@cvc.edu and just sort of outline exactly what it is that you're looking for.
Hey, Logan?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is Autumn. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's quite all right.
I just posted in the chat because I saw your question a minute ago. So to get a Zoom account, actually where you need to go, and you can see it in the chat, it's conferzoom.org. And Zoom is managed by our partners at CCC Tech Connect. I'll also put their website in the chat. But if you go to Confer Zoom, then they will, there's a place where you can get information about it, and then you can sign up for an account. They have a form on their website.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Here's another question. Can you hold online office hours for multiple classes, so in different Canvas course shells at the same time? Robert, I'm going to hand that one over to you.
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways that we can do that. If there is a central group for office hours that can be accessed by different students in different courses, you can open a room and give it a name that mentions the courses that it's there for. There's also a way to map it so that when the instructor opens a room in a for office hours for a certain course, that it opens up in all of the different courses for which that instructor leads. And there's also a third option, which is scheduled office hours, where when the instructor goes in and creates some availability inside the scheduling system for meeting with students in his or her courses, then that availability becomes available for any students in any of that instructor's courses to sign up for.
And then I just want to get to this question that I'm able to respond to right away. Does Pisces do share screen? Indeed, it does. And I saw a question from Merrill.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So getting back to the question about holding office hours for multiple classes or for multiple people, I appreciate that there are 3 ways to do it, but I have to say I don't really understand those 3 ways. So how would we get detailed information on that? I'll just give you an example. For example, I wanted to send in a message on Canvas to all 3 of my classes, and I wasn't able to do it. I had to do one class first, and then I had to do the other class. Now, maybe that's real cumbersome, but I just want to be very clear about the 3 options if we do hold office hours and how to do that. So where can we see the exact instructions on how to do that?
Robert, can you address that?
Yeah,
another minute or so.
Yeah, if you reach out to us, we can provide that information. So Logan had shared the contact information of your regional sales manager for your territory. If you just email him, he'll coordinate getting in contact with us so that we can send that information over to you.
Okay, and that's C. Myers?
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
And it looks like we have only about a minute left, but I do want to address this last item from Rita in the chat, which is what are the scheduling capabilities? I feel like this is a very important, I kind of glossed over this, and this is a very important question. So I'm going to let Robert address this one as well, as he'll do a better job than I will.
Sure. So any of the live modes that are led by a tutor or an instructor or an advisor can be scheduled. So we have drop-in support for the one-on-one, the online meetings, and the online conference, but we also have scheduled support. So you can go in as an instructor or tutor, advisor, set the times and days when you're available to meet with students, and then have students come in and schedule specific sessions with you to meet with you at a certain time or day. And then when that appointment's set to begin, it will just appear on your dashboard to be able to go and join that particular session. There's lots of policy options and things that you can set as like an admin inside the scheduling system. So, we can limit the number of appointments that students are able to schedule in a certain amount of time, how far in advance they can schedule, but that would be something that we could walk you guys through as well.
Thanks, Robert. And it looks, I just got the go ahead that we can stay on for a few extra minutes because the next OEI webinar is not starting until 9:45. So please, if there's other questions from the audience, now is probably a great time to address those.
Logan, earlier someone did ask, can Pisces be used outside of Zoom?
It can, but Robert, you want to talk about how that can be accomplished?
You mean outside Canvas?
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, okay. So yes, you can use it outside of Canvas. So there are a couple of different options. Most of our schools do use it inside of Canvas because it makes it pretty easy for the student to access from the course. But there's also a setup where students and tutors can go to our Go Pisces website and log in. So there's what we call a URL access in that case. There's also an option where we can set up a different type of single sign-on. So, for example, we support Shibboleth or SAML if you want to create a Shibboleth or SAML link. So there are various options for doing that. But like I said, most of our college partners do just put it inside of Canvas, and that tends to be the most straightforward way to have it set up.
Okay. And then another person on the chat had inquired about how will they know if Pisces is installed at their college?
So you can definitely reach out to Chuck, and Chuck will have that information or be able to get that information. We can also provide a list, Logan, of the different schools that do have it set up. It's possible, if it is set up and you don't see it in the course navigation menu, it's possible that you just go to the course settings and then it might be one of the navigation options there. But you guys can always reach out to us and we'll be able to get that information to you guys.
That's great, thanks. Another member here asked, how to find how-to materials for students?
So we do have some materials inside of our integrated knowledge base. So when the student signs in, there is a link to go to support, and the support portal does have some knowledge information for students. We also have some information that we can share that's also available on our website. So if you do go to gopisces.com, you'll see that there's some informational resources there as well. And some of those are student resources, some of them are admin and tutor resources. We did put some of them on there as well.
Okay. Actually, I have a question for you, Robert.
Sure.
So my understanding is that there are increased amount of training opportunities for the platform. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we generally offer 4 Pisces webinars each week, but we just increased the number of webinars that are offered. So we doubled up one of the webinars. So we now offer 5 webinars each week, and we do schedule those with California times in mind. So they should be during business hours for you guys. And you're free. Anybody can sign up for any of those and learn a little bit more about the platform and ask questions of myself and my other team members who help with the webinars.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? I don't see any other questions, so we might conclude at this point. Again, I just want to thank everybody for showing up and participating this morning. Again, this webinar will be archived on the CVC site. I'm going to put that link one more time in the chat, and we'll get those up as soon as possible, along, I'm sure, with many other resources. Please go to the link and to review other offerings that we're putting up, other webinar offerings that we're putting up today, along with many other resources. So again, thanks again for participating, and we'll see you next time. Bye.